Welcome back. We are going to work on herringbone in this video. Now, you receive several colors. It doesn't really matter what color you start with or you use. Those are just for you to be able to play with your stitches. Okay. Just so that you know, this is actually what I store my beads in. This is a bead system that you can get from Joann's, Michael's, Walmart, Fire Mountain Gems. Of course, I order mine from Fire Mountain Gems. It is a great system. Maybe at some point I will do a little video on the storage that I use, but this is what I use to store my beads in. The thread that you got was 6-pound Fireline. I've used lots of different threads. I don't want to disparage any threads, but I will tell you that this is the best. I use 6-pound for most of my stuff. Anything like actual bead weaving on a loom or something like that, I may use 2-pound, but probably 95% of what I do is with 6-pound. I'm going to show you how to thread a needle. Now, it seems like such a simple thing, but it really has to be done right. Now, if you look at this thread, it is originally a fishing line. It is a it is a nylon thread, a nylon line. It does not yellow. It doesn't stretch at all. And it is also hard to cut and hard to thread. So I can't show you this on the video, but if you take the end and use your teeth and flatten the end, and hopefully you can kind of see that it gets flattened there, and then you put it into the eye of the needle. Now you can use a threader. I will tell you that threaders are very hard to do on beading needles. The reason is because the eye is almost as small as the thread, and so what happens is it oftentimes will, the threader will not fit through with the actual thread through the eye. Okay, so what we're going to do is tubular herringbone. And I've just substituted the long piece that I had for a short piece. Usually you try to work with about 3 to 4 yards at a time until you get to know that you can work with any more. And the reason is because it will fray and get worn if you do it too much. Now, herringbone, like peyote and a lot of stitches, there are no knots. There should be no knots anywhere in your bead weaving. The way that you start is by taking and doing what's called the dead tail, which is the tail that is on the end of your thread. This is the working tail. This is the dead tail. Okay, you wrap it around your pinky several times. Now, one thing to remember is that it will be on your pinky for a little bit, so you don't want to make it too tight. You just want to make it enough round so that it won't slip if you pull on it, but you don't want it so tight it'll cut off the circulation. Now, we're going to do a 6-round herringbone single stitch. So the first thing we have to do is build a brick stitch base, because herringbone you can't just start off. So you're going to pick up 2 seed beads, and what you're going to do is once you slide them down, you're going to go back up through the first one that's closest to your tail and pull it through, and it'll make a little side by side. We want to do this for 6 of them. So there's 1. I want to do this again. I want to pick up 1 and come back through. But now the problem is once I pull this tight, I do still have, darn it, sorry about that. I do still have my side by sides, but now my thread's in the middle. So it doesn't matter whether you move to the right or the left, but you need to go down to move your thread to one of the edges. Okay, so now I pick up another one and I add another bead. Now I'm at 4, but again, I'm still in the middle. I'm not on an edge. So I'm going to go through this one, back up, and I'm back on an edge. And go in a circle around. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go down. And you'll notice I'm going to clamp my fingers over it so that I keep that good tension in there. This will be my 6th one. So I'm going to add my 6th one. Now I'm going to go back and make it to the edge again. Okay. Pull it nice and tight. Now I'm going to do tubular right now. If we do flat, which will be another video, I'll show you how to do that. But with tubular, you're actually going to now make a tube. So if it's coming up on this end, it needs to go down on this end. And when you pull that tight, it will make like a little tube. It doesn't matter if it's round or rectangle. That's just kind of the way the beads lay. Now, you need to go back up to the top. So do your same thing you were doing before and kind of circle that thread around. And by the way, the dead tail also works as an anchor. If you notice, I pull it up and then I use this finger as a tensioner and it keeps it tight. Excuse me. So now we're going to start the actual peyote. This is your base. Going to pick up, or I'm sorry, herringbone. Too many stitches. You're going to pick up 2 beads and you're going to move from the right to the left in this stitch. Okay, you can go the other way, but everyone I've ever taught, it's always easier to go from the right to the left, which feels weird at first, but it works. So you're going to go back down, so 2. So see, we added 2 to the top right here. Now we're going to move over to the next bead. Okay. I'll turn it this way, that might make it easier to see. And we're going to pick up 2. And we're going to go down through that next bead. We're going to come back up. And sometimes it takes a little pushing and prodding to make them lay right. We're going to go down. Now, this time we're going to go up through the base beads and the first ones we added of the herringbone. And now when I turn it, you'll see there's kind of 3 openings, almost like a flower. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to pick up 2. We're going to go down through this one, just to the left of where the thread's coming out. And back up through just the next bead. So now we're only catching that top bead, not the ones below it. Pick up 2. Go down through the bead just to the left and back up through the bead that's just to the left of that one. Pick up 2, go down through the bead and back up. Now this time you're going to go back up through 2 because you're going to go, your normal movement for that round would be to go through this one, but you need to move up 1 stitch. Okay, and then what I usually do is the stitch right before where the thread is, I pull it out with my thumb and my finger in tight, and then I pull it tight with tension. So let's do that again. Pick up 2, go down through the one just to the left, back up through the one just to the left of that. Pick up 2, go down through the one that's on the left and back up through the one just to the left of that. Now this is our final one, so we're going to go through 2, or pick up 2, go through 1, and then here we would normally go through 1 just like on the other ones, except we want to move up 1 round, so we're going to go through that second one. Now go back to the stitch before and pull tension. Now that you see what I'm doing, I'm going to show you a quick trick. Pick up 2, go down through this one, and back up through the next one in 1 motion. It doesn't seem like it saves a lot, but as you get better and quicker at it, it saves an entire second step on every single stitch. So you're going to go down and move over to the next stitch and go back up. Oop. And I just pulled my needle off. And I'm working with a short thread because I'm going to show you how to tie off or start a new thread and end an old thread. Okay, so we're going to pick up 2. We're going to go through 1. And then go through the one we normally would and move up a step. Okay, now I'm going to do a round with you just watching. I'm going to not talk through it this time. Okay. Now, my thread is obviously very short. I'm going to show you how to end. Oh, I hope I was in the view for that. I'm not sure that I was. I am not sure that I was in the view for that. I may have to go back and show that one again. I'll end this thread and then I'll do another video and show you again. So to end your thread, again, no knots. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down and follow the path of the thread. So if you see right here, there's no thread, so we don't want to go there. We follow the path of the thread down, and then you make a little circle with your thread. So we're going to go back up, and we're going to go down. Okay. And we're going to move over a little bit. And we're just following that path of the thread where the thread was already going. And we're going to go down one, back up one, and it doesn't matter if you go down one, go down four, as long as you make this circle. Because what happens is a circle is just like where you wrapped on the pinky, and if you have it wrapped well enough, then it's not going to slip. Okay? So you just wind your thread around and back around itself. You want to make sure that after your last circle, you have a good extra about 4 or 5 beads where the tail is tucked up inside. Then you're going to take either your cutters or your scissors. And the way you cut this thread is you put your cutter side down. You pull it down. See, I'm not cutting yet. I'm just pulling it down. And you give a little tension with your pull. And then you cut it. These aren't really good cutters for this. But what happens is that it does have just a tiny bit of give. And so it pulls back. And then when you release it and you cut, it goes back inside. And guess what? You have it's all hidden. Okay? So to start a new thread, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go up a couple, down a couple, pull down to where this dead tail is. Now, once you get really good at it, you can actually tuck your entire tail in so that you don't have to cut. I would not recommend you do that for quite some time. Leave a little bit out that you can grab hold of and cut, because you will get so frustrated, and I even still get frustrated myself, because if you pull a little too hard and don't have it wrapped around just enough, it comes out and you got to start over. So we're going to follow the path. Okay, of where the beads went. So I'm coming out here, the thread went here, and down, and back up, and I think I might be able to have enough time to get a couple rows into this video to show you. It's very hard, by the way, to keep my hands in the same spot, and it's also very hard to look at the little screen on my phone to see where my hands are while I'm also trying to watch my hands and my needles to teach you guys. When you do it in person, people just kind of stand around all over the place and it's not so hard. Oh, I picked up the wrong needle. That was the old needle. This is the new needle. Okay, so go down. So I'm going to wind it about 3 or 4 circles. Okay. And back up, and I think this should be good, and we can check because I left that little bit of tail, which I don't want to tuck in there. Okay, and if you notice, I hold my fingers over, and there's a reason I do that. The reason is because you have less chance of getting a knot if you hold your fingers over the thread as it's pulling through the beads. Now, where you come up, see, I have a good tail, or a good start, because that little tail that I didn't cut off is not slipping through. When you add a new thread, you always want to come up on the left side of a petal. And I'll show you what I mean in a second here. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one you do, but see, when I open it, it looks like little petals coming out here. You always want to be on the left side of a petal, because you're going to pick up 2, go down through the one just to, okay, see, apparently I'm not even talking to I'm not even making sense myself. You always want to be, I'm telling you the left, but I'm looking at the right side of the petal. See how it's on the right side? Okay, because you always want to move to the left. So we're going to pick up 2. And I'm sure you guys watching probably were going, no, it's the left, it's the right, it's the right. You're saying left, but you're showing me right. All right, pick up 2. Go to the left. And go across to the next stitch. Pick up 2. Down and across to the next stitch. Pick up 2. Down, across to the next stitch, and up 1 level. Go back to the stitch before, pull back and tight. Okay, now once you get that done, you can also go back and cut off. Remember, a little firm pressure from a pull, and then clip, and it goes back in where you can't see it. When you are working on it, I would say every 15, 20, 30 rows, roll it like this in your hand, and it'll line everything up if they weren't already aligned. And that's how you do tubular herringbone. And I will see you for the next video. I'm not sure which one we're doing next, but I'll get you one here in a minute.